This video will cover the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE for short. I'm Nicholas, and this is the Law Enforcement Agency Information Channel. The U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE for short, is a civilian-staffed, investigative United States federal law enforcement agency that falls under the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, or DHS for short. I do want to point out before I start this video that I personally am not a fan of immigration enforcement agencies like ICE and the CBP. Um, am simply not a fan of what they do. However, because this is the Law Enforcement Agency Information Channel, I am still covering those agencies. So yeah. But anyways, so aside from that, the ICE is the fourth largest federal law enforcement agency in the U.S. by employee count, with currently with approximately 20,000 active employees, the majority of which being law enforcement personnel. The ICE is also the #1 most funded federal law enforcement agency in the U.S. I don't know their current annual budget, but I do know that during 2023, 2024, and 2025, their budget really their annual budget really started increasing, and I could get into why, but that would really involve politics, and I don't want to go down that path. So anyways, the ICE is responsible for investigating federal immigration crimes that take place within the United States or any of its individual territories. They do this by, #1, finding, apprehending, arresting, and deporting individuals who made it into the U.S. or any of its territories illegally, in other words, illegal immigrants. And then #2, investigating crimes regarding illegal immigrants. Sorry, my computer almost shut off there. Investigating crimes regarding illegal immigrants, such as cyber crimes, drug trafficking, human trafficking, sex trafficking, gun trafficking, etc. And then #3, working with local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies, such as the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, or CBP for short, and the Drug Enforcement Administration, or DEA for short, in order to conduct their duties. Now I know what you're thinking. Where does ICE keep its detainees? Well, basically, ICE operates its own detention centers. They're called immigration detention centers, or federal immigration detention centers, and they are located throughout the United States. These federal immigration detention centers are operated by ICE and not the Federal Bureau of Prisons. The reason why I'm pointing that out is because the majority of federal prisons are operated by the Federal Bureau of Prisons, but these are specialized federal prisons. They are operated by ICE and not the Federal Bureau of Prisons, because the Federal Bureau of Prisons handles, I don't know how to explain this, it handles criminal style crimes. It handles people who have been prosecuted at the federal level for a felony level crime. And while immigration is a crime, it is not often considered extreme or felony level. However, if an individual charged with an immigration crime has also committed a felony, then they may go to a Federal Bureau of Prison. So aside from that, again, the majority of ICE field offices use federal immigration detention facilities, but some don't. And the ones that don't are usually the ones that don't use federal immigration detention centers use what I mean. But let me just rephrase this. Some ICE field offices don't use federal immigration detention centers because either they are not nearby their field office, there's no nearby federal immigration detention center, or there is a nearby federal immigration detention center, but it's already filled up or booked up. So there's not enough room, which is very often the case. So in those cases, those field offices will typically have contracts or agreements with county sheriff's offices and private correctional firms to basically hold their inmates in their jails. So yeah, but additionally, I should probably point out that once ICE detains an illegal immigrant, it has 2 days to deport it. The only cases where it really wouldn't deport that illegal immigrant is if there's an active court order ordering ICE to halt their deportation, or there's a active grant of citizenship by the U.S. Customs and Immigration Services. I think that's what it's called. That's really that's really it for their core responsibilities. But additionally, the ICE, specifically its HSI division, is also responsible for protecting the Secretary of Homeland Security, or Homeland for short, and the director of the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE for short. But yeah, that's really it for their responsibilities. ICE is organized / structured or / broken down into divisions. Each division of ICE fulfills a specific duty of ICE. There are multiple divisions of ICE. There are both administrative and law enforcement divisions of ICE. In today's video, I'm primarily going to be focusing on the law enforcement related divisions of ICE. The law enforcement related divisions of ICE include number one, the enforcement and removal operations. The enforcement and removal operations, or ERO for short, is responsible for finding, apprehending, and deporting individuals charged with federal immigration crimes. HSI and ERO are basically the primary field operations divisions of ICE. What I mean by that is ERO officers and HSI special agents are the ones you typically see making the arrests most of the time. ERO currently has approximately 6,000 officers, possibly a bit more. That's it for ERO. Now I will go on to the Homeland Security investigations. HSI, or the Homeland Security investigations, is responsible for investigating federal immigration crimes. Particularly those that are felony level or involve Homeland Security related threats. So that includes gun trafficking, intelligence threats, terrorism, etc. They focus on felony level federal immigration crimes. They are currently the largest investigative agency within the Department of Homeland Security, and obviously also the largest division within ICE. With approximately 7,000 or over approximately 7,000 special agents. So yeah, they're definitely big. They investigate a wide range of crimes. They are an investigative position, ERO is a uniform position. So just to clarify that. And then add on top of that, there is number 3, the Office of Professional Responsibility. They are basically the OIG or the watchdog of ICE. They conduct criminal investigations into fraud, waste, misconduct, and corruption within ICE, basically ensuring the professionalism of the agency. And then added on top of that, there is number 4, the Office of Intelligence and Analysis. While they basically conduct intelligence operations, so they gather intelligence, and they gather and analyze intelligence for ICE. So while they have very limited, sorry, my computer almost shut off. While they have very limited law enforcement authority, they are very essential to ICE and its divisions, as they are the ones providing information and intel to ICE's divisions, which basically is crucial for ICE operations. So yeah, but that's really it for their divisions and stuff, or their at least their law enforcement related divisions. The ICE reports to the Secretary of Homeland Security, or Sec Homeland for short, who reports to the President of the United States, or POTUS for short. ICE special agents and officers are authorized to carry firearms, issue warrantless arrests, and carry out warrants. They derive their authority and jurisdiction from the laws they enforce. Speaking of jurisdiction, ICE, including its officers and special agents and employees, have domestic-wide jurisdiction throughout the United States and its individual territories to, number 1, investigate federal immigration crimes, and number 2, to protect important DHS executive officials, such as the Secretary of Homeland Security. Training for ICE really depends on the division you are applying to. All ICE law enforcement divisions train at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. However, the duration of time and programs they go through really depends on the division you are applying to. So, for example, for the HSI division, HSI special agents train for a total of approximately 30 weeks. They go through 2 programs. The first being the Criminal Investigators Training Program, or CITP for short, and that lasts 15 weeks. And then they go through their second training program is known as the Basic HSI Special Agent Training program, and that also lasts 15 weeks. Again, both are located at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center and take approximately 15 weeks. So yeah, and then added on top of that, now I will go on to ERO. ERO agents ERO agents train for a total of approximately 10 weeks. They go through one training course or program known as the Basic Deportation Officer Training Program. And basically, that lasts, again, 10 weeks and is located at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. And then now I will go on to OPR. So OPR special agents also go through, just like HSI, go through the Criminal Investigators Training Program. Again, all all investigative roles within ICE will go through the criminal investigators training program. ERO is not considered an investigative role. That's why they did not go through that program. They are considered a uniformed role. But anyways, back onto OPR. Yeah, they train for approximately 15 weeks. Sorry, and at the for a total of approximately 15 weeks at the Criminal Investigators Training Program located at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. And then the Intelligence and Analysis. They also train for approximately 15 weeks. And at the Criminal Investigators Training Program located at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. And yeah, that's really it for their training. ICE works with multiple law enforcement agencies from federal, state, to local. For example, during criminal investigations and field operations, ICE will very often work and coordinate with local and state law enforcement agencies. However, with that being said, legally, on a day-to-day basis, the only agencies they should be allowed to work with are federal law enforcement agencies. And what I mean by that is state and local law enforcement agencies simply do not have jurisdiction over federal crimes like immigration crimes. However, with that being said, while they do not have jurisdiction over immigration crimes, ICE very often allows them to assist. And what I mean by that is basically, in many cases, ICE will request assistance from state and local law enforcement for their operations and investigations. And in those cases, local and state law enforcement agencies are authorized to assist ICE because they requested their assistance. However, without ICE's request for assistance or approval, they legally should not be conducting any immigration enforcement duties. However, there are some exceptions. For example, if added on top of an immigration crime, if someone charged with an immigration crime has also committed a state or local violation, then state and local law enforcement agencies may assist in investigations because the person they are investigating has committed a crime within their jurisdiction. But added on top of that, they do work with very many federal law enforcement agencies. Specific federal law enforcement agencies they work with include the FBI, DEA, ATF, USMS, the U.S. Secret Service, or USSS for short, the USCG or U.S. Coast Guard, specifically its CGIS division, and then the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, or CBP for short, and the NCIS, or Naval Criminal Investigative Service, the USAF, OSI, the USA CID, and then much more. But yeah, that's really it for their collaboration and stuff. Yeah. To answer that common question many people have, what's the difference between HSI and ERO? Well, my simple answer to that question is HSI, as I mentioned earlier, is an investigative position within ICE that focuses on investigating felony-level federal immigration crimes, particularly those that threaten homeland security. This includes finding, apprehending, and deporting individuals charged with such crimes. The ERO, on the other hand, is an uniform position within ICE, as I mentioned earlier, and focuses on finding, apprehending, and deporting individuals charged with any federal immigration crimes, no matter the level of seriousness of the crime. So the main difference here, if you didn't catch it, is HSI focuses on felony level or national security threats. So HSI focuses on felony level federal immigration crimes. ERO focuses on all federal immigration crimes, not just felony level ones. And also, ERO is also much more, I don't know how you call it, much more, it conducts much more field duties than HSI. I mean, both conduct field duties, but ERO is a uniform position, so its duties are often much more involved with field operations. However, with that being said, despite their differences, HSI and ERO actually do very often work with each other. More than they work with other law enforcement agencies. So yeah.